I didn't know what she was talking about until the whole room went quiet and every eye turned toward me. That was the moment my grandmother's voice cut through Thanksgiving like a knife through warm bread. Sharp, sudden, unforgiving. 1 second, the house smelled like sage and butter and roasted turkey skin, and the next it smelled like fear, my fear, sitting heavy in my chest, pressing against my ribs until I forgot how to breathe. Her hand was shaking as she pointed at me from the head of the table. Not a trembling, fragile shake. It was anger holding itself together by a thin thread. "You think I don't know?" she said, her voice louder than it needed to be. "You think I'm a fool?" I remember my fork slipping from my fingers and clinking against the plate. That small sound felt enormous in the silence that followed. I wanted to disappear into the wood grain of the table, into the hum of the refrigerator, into anything that wasn't that moment. And when she finally asked the question, when she demanded an answer, I froze. I have no idea about it," I said. The words felt weak as soon as they left my mouth, like they didn't belong to me, like they floated there, thin and useless, while my grandmother stared straight through me, as if she could see every secret I didn't even know I was carrying. Before that day, Thanksgiving had always been my safest holiday. Not the loudest, not the happiest, but the safest. I'm the kind of person who likes routines, predictable rhythms. I work as a medical billing coordinator at a small clinic, nothing glamorous but steady. I live alone in a modest 2-bedroom apartment with creaky floors and a radiator that hisses like it's got something to complain about. My life, before everything cracked open, was quiet in a way that felt earned. Thanksgiving meant driving 2 hours to my grandmother's house, the same one she's lived in since before I was born.
Beige siding.
A porch that sags just a little on the left side. Wind chimes that never stop singing, even when there's barely a breeze. My grandmother, Evelyn, has always been the anchor of our family. Not soft, not gentle, but steady. She raised 3 children alone after my grandfather died young, and she wears that history like armor. She believes in hard work, honesty, and saying exactly what you mean, even if it stings. Growing up, I was the quiet one, the observer. The child who noticed when voices dropped low in the kitchen, when doors closed a little too firmly, when smiles didn't quite reach the eyes. I learned early that staying calm kept me safe, that freezing was sometimes better than fighting back. By the time I was 36, that habit was stitched into me. That Thanksgiving, I arrived early like I always do. I brought sweet potato casserole, marshmallows perfectly browned, and a loaf of bread from the bakery near my apartment. My Aunt Linda was already there, bustling around the kitchen, her bracelets clinking as she moved. My cousin Mark sat on the couch pretending not to watch football, his phone glowing in his hand. Everything felt normal. Comfortably so. Grandma Evelyn hugged me longer than usual when I walked in. I noticed it, but I didn't question it. Her sweater smelled faintly of lavender detergent and something sharper, maybe vinegar from cleaning. Her arms felt stiff around me. "You look tired," she said, pulling back to study my face. "I've been busy," I told her. It was true. I always was. She nodded, but her eyes lingered, searching in a way that made my stomach tighten just a little. I ignored it. I'd been ignoring small discomforts my whole life. Dinner came together slowly. The oven door opening and closing. The scrape of chairs on tile. The low murmur of family catching up on surface-level things, jobs, weather, gas prices. I poured myself a glass of iced tea and took my usual seat halfway down the table, close enough to belong but far enough not to be noticed. That was the normal life I knew.
Familiar.
Manageable. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that something had already been set in motion weeks before. That there were conversations happening without me. Assumptions being made. Whispers passed like folded notes behind closed doors. The first clue, though, came earlier that day. As I was setting my casserole on the counter, I overheard my Aunt Linda on the phone in the laundry room. The door was cracked just enough for her voice to slip through. "I just don't understand why she wouldn't say anything," Linda said, her voice tight. "Your mother deserves the truth." I paused, my hand still resting on the ceramic dish. I wasn't trying to listen. I just did. There was a long silence on the other end of the call. Well, if she thinks staying quiet is protecting herself, she's wrong, Linda continued. It's only going to make it worse. My name wasn't mentioned, but my chest tightened anyway. When Linda came out and saw me standing there, she startled slightly, smoothed her hair, forced a smile. Everything okay? I asked. Of course, she said too quickly. Just family nonsense. I nodded, even though something inside me whispered that it wasn't nonsense, that it was something heavier, something sharp-edged. But I didn't push. I never pushed. By the time we sat down to eat, my grandmother was unusually quiet. She picked at her food, barely touching the turkey, her jaw set like she was holding something back. I noticed how she kept glancing at me, then away, like she was bracing herself. I told myself I was imagining it. I took a sip of iced tea. The clink of ice against glass sounded too loud. My heart beat faster for no reason I could explain. Then, halfway through dinner, she put her fork down. And that's when she yelled. Not screamed. Not shrieked. Yelled with the authority of a woman who has carried truth on her back for decades and finally decided she was done carrying it alone. And when she accused me, when she demanded answers, I gave the only response my body knew how to give. I have no idea about it. Even as the words echoed back to me, I felt the first crack form. Because deep down, I was starting to realize something had been done in my name. And whatever it was about to change everything.